That's a good way to start it off.
Right? Just hawking a loogie. It's great.
All right, we're ready to go.
Right.
You got your spittoon off to the side.
Right. Ping. Like, it's awesome. So, all right. What's up, Thursday Warriors? We are back for another episode of the Toddcast. I am John, as always. With me this week is Justin, who is our Amazon store manager extraordinaire, also our con booth semi-manager, and then we have our special guest, Brandon Ingram.
Thank you for having me. I realized as soon as I got on that my light, I either look like there's like a heavenly glow over there, because it's just like I'm the palest person ever because of this light, or I'm just a ghost. So I'll leave that up to the audience.
It's October. Ghost is all good. It's
there we go. Yeah.
Theme of the month.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, we're going to talk to Brandon about his book here in a few minutes. Just some housekeeping stuff, guys. Don't forget, this Saturday is NDC Games Day, which means 15% off almost every game type of thing we have in every store. There will be some exclusions, so check your local store for those exclusions. Booster boxes, I know, are pretty much most of it. But singles, supplies, you need some dice, now's the time to come get it. You need a new version of your player's handbook because you wore it out over pandemic because you played a hell of a lot of D&D online. Come on in and get a new one. We got you covered. Then next week we have Fear Fest up in Elwood, which is in one of our warehouses. It's in conjunction with the Fearscape haunted attraction, which is a haunted house that happens to be in the basement of one of our warehouses. One of our guys in Elwood runs it. His name's John, also not me, but a different John. And it is apparently terrifying. So if you're into that kind of thing, go check it out. I am not into haunted houses, so I will not be in there, but I may go check out some of the vendors and stuff. Then the 23rd, that Sunday, Justin and I will be at the Pittsburgh Comic Swap.
You're
Comic
getting ahead of yourself.
Comic Swap comic show, whatever. I don't know actually.
Comic Swap. It's the Comic Swap.
It's the Comic Swap, but I think it's actually called Pittsburgh Comic Book Show, which I don't get it.
Okay.
But pick a name.
But before then, we also have cosplay karaoke that week too. You skipped over cosplay karaoke.
Cosplay karaoke will be at the Hard Rock next Wednesday, 7:00, I believe. And
we shoot for 7. We start anywhere between 8 and 9. So it's whatever works.
It depends on how many people we have singing. If you want to sing, make sure you hit the link, or if you want to just come up, make sure you buy your ticket. It's $5 to watch, $10 to sing. All that money goes to the Heroes Initiative at the end of every one. All 3 winners will get tickets to Three Rivers Comic Con 2023. And I'm really hoping that I have a contract in hand so that I can actually announce the dates on Wednesday at the show, because that would be awesome. I just don't know why they can't get me this stupid freaking contract. You'd think that they would be, used to doing that stuff all the time. But it's going to be good. I guarantee everyone's going to have a lot of fun. And then you can see Justin and I walking around Baltimore Comic-Con the last weekend of October, where we will not be at any of the local stores doing Halloween Comics Fest and handing out free comic books. But you can totally go to one of our stores and get some free comic books. Although none of them are really Halloween themed, I think. So, whatever.
That's weird. Is that the first time that's happened? Because I know every Halloween is usually themed Halloween.
They try, but some of them are definitely not. So,
okay.
But anyway, all right. So, At this time, we're going to talk with Brandon about how like some of the books and stuff. So first, thanks for coming on. This is a lot of fun. We always love having guests.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your books, and then we'll take a look at some of them because you sent us some PDFs. I read them. I really enjoyed them, and we'll talk about it as we go through the book. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Brandon Ingram, the creator of Dismay Comics, and the book I'm highlighting right now is Dismay Avenue. We have a few series that we've done. We've done The Gallows Man, which is like a golden age, silver age satirical parody of superheroes. It's a good time, good fun book. That's going to be a 4-issue miniseries. We've already done issues 1 and 2 Kickstarters for those, and we'll have Kickstarter for issue 3, like 2023. But the main thing currently is Dismay Avenue, basically my horror anthology series for Dismay Comics. And there's a lot of horror anthology books out there. So you may be like, oh, another horror anthology book. But I think there's a lot of great stuff with this book. It's biased to say the writing is good. I think that's very biased to say. What I can say is the artwork is beautiful. The artwork in these books are absolutely beautiful. The reason I say the writing is biased, for those that don't know, I'm the one that wrote the books. But the artwork is absolutely beautiful in these books. Issue 1, it's going to be 2-issue Kickstarter. Dismay Avenue #1, Dismay Avenue #2. And issue 1 is over 40 pages of comics. Like there's one big story that's 40 pages long that follows a couple who goes to a movie theater that is out of town. It's in town, but it's on like the outskirts of town, and it's like dead. Like no one's in the parking lot. There's a couple concessions people in the theater itself, and some weird guy with a hoodie on and his hood over and stuff off in the corner of the lobby and stuff. But this couple, they want to see this movie. It's only playing at this theater. They go there, very creepy place, and creepy stuff ensues from there, basically. And that story, the first third of it, so like the first 15, 16 pages, is almost beat for beat of a date I had back in college, where me and this girl went to this very weird theater, and yeah, like it seemed very weird and sketchy. But then in the book, I have like some fictional stuff that happens that definitely did not happen in real life. But then
Actually,
issue.
Let's look at this. I'll show some people some of this book. It is of the two, this was my favorite.
Thank you.
It was very, very good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the art. I'm a big fan of the water. It's almost like the watercolor.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that because, sometimes you want something different like this, where it's not all precision lines and, super detailed. This gives you a nice, I want to say this is very old school to me. Like this kind of feels like 1940s, the way a 1940s movie would start type deal.
Yeah. I think, the artist Jade Sky, I think she knocked out of the park, because I was really just wanting like that creepy, atmospheric, surreal art style, because it goes with the story. And I think she did perfect with that. And it just gets, the art gets crazier as it goes, but all the while still being beautiful.
I agree. This was like it felt like a Twilight Zone episode, which was great.
That's exactly what I was going for, because when I first wrote this script, it was before I turned it into a comic. I then adapted it to a comic. When I first wrote it back in 2017, I'm a huge fan of Rod Serling's Twilight Zone, like the 60s Twilight Zone, and this was basically my Twilight Zone-ish script, basically, like my episode script. And
Right.
yeah, once it got adapted to comic, like once I started transitioning from script writing to comic writing, I was like, yes, I have to do this. Even to the point, the very back of the book, like the back cover is my own like rip off, not rip off, I guess knockoff uh, little Rod Serling thing, because the cover says it's describing Disney Avenue as a whole. An unexpected turn brings you down an unknown road. No ordinary horrors are found down the road, only those of dismay.
Huh.
So, yes, Twilight Zone is a huge influence on me, especially when it comes to writing horror.
I definitely felt it. It was very good. Like, it flowed well. The art definitely, to me, it felt like, like early Lucifer, like Vertigo, Lucifer House of Mystery type style
Yeah.
stuff that really helped give that creep factor like a huge push. Like I'm a fan of that kind of style TV show, that style books. Like I like a lot of like the Black Caravan stuff. I don't know if you're reading a lot of that. And like that's the kind of horror I like, where it's more like suspense than anything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's
And
ultimately what it is for me, because I do like I like your slashers and gore fest and all that stuff. I love that stuff, but the stuff that like gets me to where like I'm walking out of the movie theater and I still feel scared or creeped out or eerie is what you're talking about. That more suspenseful stuff, that like a lot of the horror, it's not the jump scares that gets you in the theaters, that like but you don't remember that later. But the stuff that like visuals or a sound or whatever that you take with you, leave that theater when you are done reading that book, that's the stuff that gets me.
Right. This just like the story was really cool too, because like but the only thing that I was like wondering was like, is there a version of this told from the girl's perspective? Because I was like, well, what does she see during all this stuff? Because you only see what the male lead's perspective is of this. And I was just like, are we gonna is the backer gonna be like the same story but from the other direction? Like, or are we just gonna never know and it's gonna be even more creepy?
I haven't thought of that. I have like thought like what's her role in this and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I haven't thought of that. I don't know if I will write that perspective. I feel like I could possibly do something there, but I don't want to possibly harm this one by doing it.
Right.
But there is something there though.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to show a little bit of the backer story now. Because there's a little backer story that has like completely different art. But was pretty funny though, because it was just like real quick, and I loved this alternate reality part.
Yeah.
That was, I think, the better, like for me, that was like really fun and kind of almost very satirical as to like the world we live in right now. And
Exactly.
I really enjoyed that part too. So
yeah, there's little like details here and there, like with the crowd that's like at the Capitol, that's like protesting and stuff. They're protesting like save the humans and stuff, but their posts made out of like
bone.
Bone basically. Yeah. But there's also little stuff here and there that people can kind of see. But yeah, that was like just a fun idea that I had one night and texted my buddy about it, because it started out as a dumb idea, and ultimately it may still be a dumb idea, but we were just like going back and forth, and like he had a couple of those panel ideas, and then I had like the rest of the panel ideas. I was like, yes, we can make something here, a good 1-page comic here.
No, that was awesome. I really enjoyed that whole issue front to back. And I think I enjoyed it more because it was one big story versus the second issue, which is broken apart into smaller stories,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about that. I'll just scroll through it while you talk. You tell everybody about it.
Yeah. So second issue, like John mentioned, it's 4 different stories. It's a little over 60 pages long in total, the entire comic. But the first story, Tolls the Bells, basically follows this little boy who has to stay after school. He got in trouble, has to stay after school, and creepy stuff ensues from there. I'll kind of leave the synopsis off at that. But yeah, like from the beginning when I wrote this, I'm a huge fan of Junji Ito. He's like a huge horror manga artist. Yeah. And so when I wrote the script, I was kind of thinking like in that Junji Ito art style. And yeah, when I found an artist that can easily match that art style, I was like, yes, this is perfect. And so yeah, if people were like, this looks like Junji Ito stuff, it's like, yeah, like it's intentional. This is like, not saying it's my knockoff Junji Ito. What I'm trying to say is Junji Ito is a master at this stuff, but I'm heavily influenced by his horror. So,
Right.
and yeah, and then the next page, just this huge splash, like the creature right there.
Oh, yeah.
That was my favorite page. When he sent it back, I was like, holy crap, yes, because this entire comic is based on, it's at the very end. I have like some letters pages at the very end, like behind the scenes pages. That entire 16-page comic is based on a painting that one of my friends did. And it's a painting that creature is basically inspired by. And when I saw the painting, I was like, I just have to write a story based on your creepy painting, because this creature you drew, this creepy looking guy holding this like small other creature, and they have like, he's like draining its essence, or maybe the small creature's draining its essence. It's hard to tell. I was like, I got to write a story on it. And then this one, Raw Horror, Jade Sky, who did issue 1 Program, that huge movie theater story. She did the art for this. You have a soldier, a military guy who wakes up on his couch and is a little bit unsure of his surroundings and stuff like that. And it kind of plays from there. This is the shortest of the comics. It's only 8 pages. But yeah, this one's very like atmospheric and surreal, perfect for what Jade can do, because this was the first comic that she did that I hired her to do. And then once she was done with this, I was like, I've got like a comic that could do a whole issue, which was Program in issue 1. I was like, can you do that? And she said yes. I was so happy she was able to do that. And then this
That's
one,
awesome.
Yeah, Destination. I like this one. There's like multiple influences that like inspired this story, but basically this mom and her daughter go to a thrift store. The mom is trying to do an art piece, and she gets some of it from thrift shops. And they go to this thrift shop, and the daughter's looking around, and she finds this weird musical triangle, as you can see there, on the weird musical triangle. And when you hit it, you get transported to another place, pretty much another dimension. And they'd be like, oh, like that sounds pretty cool. But it seems like every time you hit it, it seems like things get a little bit worse. And that's kind of how it goes for her. And just kind of spirals from there. Yeah, this is more my.
I really love the I really like this one a lot, and I love the art with it, because it was like almost like it was animated. Like,
Yes.
you know, you look at it wrong and you think it moved type thing.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, and the page after this was that page right there, seeing the monster. and like Jade hitting the thing. Well, the page right under where right when she hits the triangle, that one right there. And she's like closing her eyes. When I saw that page, I was like, okay, like this is similar to the creature one, the creature page from Tolls the Bells. This is the page I like the most, of the creature coming out of the woods and Jade like scarily trying to hit the triangle and stuff. I really like that page.
This whole section that you're talking about reminds me of like McFarlane at his height, like
oh yeah,
almost even like the corn video that he did. It almost looks like an excerpt of
Freak
what was
on
that?
a Leash.
Yeah, it almost looks like a Freak on a Leash excerpt, like down to like how the girl's eyes look when she's crying. Like it just, oh man, it's so good. Again, you got a really good artist to work with this story to tell it right, and it was very, very good.
He knocked it completely out of the park. And yeah, just that fear there, and just constant, well, if I hit it, will it get any better? And no, it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Right. Oh, that's crazy. So
and then,
this one though, like the art is like, it's like full on like old Harvey, like Richie Rich style art for this one, or like Scooby Doo. And I'm just like, what is going on here? But you know, the further you go into the story, it really gives you that Twilight Zone feel because of how satirical the art is to this. And it felt oh man, like it felt kind of like man, it wasn't Black Mirror, it was some other show like that though, where this couple like bought a house in a community and they just basically couldn't get out of the community, but every time they showed the community it felt like this. And I cannot remember what show it was.
It wasn't a show. Wasn't it a movie?
It was a movie. I'm trying to think what it was called.
It was on Hulu, I think.
Yeah, it was on Hulu.
Because my wife watches all that stuff, so she was like, "Oh, this is interesting." And I forget what the name of it was, because I watched like from the middle to the end, so I never got to see what the actual title was. But I think that just was a couple years ago. I think we were watching it during COVID.
Yeah, I think I did
seeing
too.
It maybe a year ago.
Yeah, it was very, very interestingly creepy, and that was kind of the deal. Whoop.
This looks like Beetle Bailey is what this
is
about. Like the facial features, like
it's like old Harvey comics, right? Yeah. Like
Beetle Bailey or Dagwood.
Yeah.
Dagwood. Basically, this was the first comic I worked with Helen Bolton on, and she did that alternate reality page. She did the art for that, and she's been doing the interior art for my series, The Gallows Man. But with this one, I was looking for someone that could do like a Dr. Seuss-esque or like cartoonish kind of family-friendly comic art style, and it worked well, especially with like the juxtaposition of something like that guy going by you, shouting this and that, slurs, flicking you off, throwing a cigarette into Mr. Hinklehorn's car. Mr. Hinklehorn, as it goes on, you're like, this guy's, something's off with him. He's a little bit weird. He's just like, oh, everything's all hunky-dory. But yeah, as it goes on, you're like, okay, this guy's a creep. Like there's a reason he's okay with all of this happening, because he's going to try to get one up on all these people, basically.
Right. It really felt to me like I was like, man, like I'm like reading this and I'm like, man, I can see like Will Ferrell being Mr. Hinklehorn, like in a movie,
cool. Yeah.
or like
that,
Steve Carell, like they're the kind of guy that could pull off this kind of awkward. Because like you've probably seen a bit where they did something similar where somebody like threw a lit cigarette at them and they were just like, "Thank you," and just drove away.
That's the thing. Thinking about it, like I would like to see like both of them like do it, but I think Will Ferrell would be interesting because with Steve Carell, I've seen him do like his creepy roles before. To where like as it started, I'm like, he's a little bit odd. Is he gonna dip into like a creepy role? But Will Ferrell, it'd be like unexpected because it's like this guy's acting weird. Maybe he's a little bit creepy, but then at the end, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, the guy's a creep.
Right. So yeah, and then all of your both books have like this long letter section
this
at the
is
end, which
the
is great.
longest one. Like I didn't mean for it to be this long when I was writing it, but as I was going, I was like, 3 pages. Maybe one person will read one of the pages. That's fine with me.
Right. Okay. That's all of it. So cool. Like I like I said, I really dug them. I thought everything was very well done. It hit all the right beats for me. So that's just how I dug it. So
thank you.
All right, I'm gonna try to pull up your Kickstarter here. Give me 1 second. If you want to talk about anything else with that before I bring up the Kickstarter.
Yeah. I would say, there's a lot of work that went into these comics, like not just by me, but the artists themselves. Today's been an off day, so I'm not going to remember everyone's name, even though I've had like 100 conversations with each of the artists. If it was a different day, I'd remember it. If I got a bad memory. But I think everyone knocked it out of the park, and I'm just excited. I hope people will give this book a chance. At least whenever the Kickstarter hits on October 18th, they'll at least check out the page and go from there.
Notify me on launch. Let's do it right now.
50. That was actually my goal. So now I reached my follower goal.
Boom! Look at that.
There we go.
Look
That's
at
perfect.
that. So, and I will copy this and put it in the chat for anyone watching right now that wants to check that out. And if not, they can. What's the direct? Is there like a shorter one that they can go to if they want to check it out in post somewhere?
Yeah, they can go to you can go to my Instagram account and there's a link there and it'll take you straight to the Kickstarter pre-launch page, because that's what that is. That's the pre-launch page for anyone that hasn't backed a Kickstarter or done a Kickstarter before. That's basically the hey, it's coming page. And then on October 18th at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, the actual page will live and you'll be able to read through stuff. I have for each book 7 preview pages. So it's going to be like 14 to 16 preview pages you can look at and read. I've got all kinds of information there. There's also going to be an exclusive Dismay Avenue t-shirt where that design that was on that pre-launch page, where it's a little boy like with his hand going through a vortex, like he's getting sucked in. You're going to have that on your chest if you get the t-shirt. So basically it looks like you got a giant vortex on your chest, and this little boy is like, oh no, like Jon, like help me. Jon's like, no, stay. But yeah, so that t-shirt will also be a thing. I want people to get the comics, but if you're not into comics, that t-shirt is available as its own tier, so you can get that t-shirt. Or if you do back the comics, that t-shirt is available as an add-on. And there's a whole bunch of other add-ons as well.
Cool. Is there are there retailer tiers as well?
Yes, there are retailer tiers. There's I think 1 or 2 retailer tiers. It deals with different variants and stuff, because there's going to be variant covers for both issues. So yeah, there's retailer tiers. There's like huge, like I call them like great value bundle deals, where like
Mhm.
you get all the comics, you get sticker sets, you get a whole bunch of other stuff. When you go to the Kickstarter October 18th, you'll be able to see how much you get. And if you're not a huge physical comic person, I'm not going to blame you. I'm not going to bash you. I prefer physical, but if you like digital, you can get the first issue for just $5, or
Oh
you
wow.
can get both issues for $9, and that's over 100 pages of comics for just $9. So, and then there's other tiers that go along there.
I mean, that's what you pay for what 48 from DC now. So
Yeah.
So, but that is awesome. Obviously, Justin and I are very physical comic people as well. Like today, actually, we went through a 50 long box collection at work. It was
Nice.
very tedious.
It was fun though.
It didn't
That's
take us.
always-
Took me like 7 or 8 hours to finish it, but whatever. But and that's just ripping it apart. Like we didn't even get to price anything yet. But I have a lot of stuff to do that. Anyway, yeah, that sounds awesome. We're probably going to do some retailer backer and get you into the shop, so that'd be good too.
Thank you.
And I kind of want one of those shirts. If it came in a baseball tee, I would definitely buy it.
Or a hockey jersey.
I got you.
Yeah. I'm more of a baseball tee guy than anything else. Like I've actually tried to convert most of my shirt wearing into baseball tees. Or except this is a work shirt. It actually is an NDC shirt, so that's why it's not a baseball tee. But
I need to make the baseball tees. I need to also make the hockey jerseys so I can get Kevin Smith to look at my stuff and he's like, "Oh, I'm in it for the hockey jersey. Heck yeah!"
Right?
That's the only thing I wear.
I guarantee I have a couple staff members when I show them the one with the little the boy at the tolling bells story. Like they're gonna want that issue because they're very manga heavy readers and they're gonna love that, because that was immediately what I thought of too when as soon as you said it, I was like, yep, that's definitely the manga look that I thought I saw there. So
yeah,
it kind of looks like a mini Akira. It looks like
yeah.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
Akira as a child.
Yeah, before he goes nuts.
I definitely had that one as like the starting story on purpose for like, because there's a lot of comic people that will go to manga. I mean, that's how I was. I grew up on comics, but now I read both comics and manga. But I recently got into manga like 2-3 years ago. I don't see a lot of the other way around where it's a manga reader going to comic book. I don't see that a lot. So maybe this is a little incentive. It's like, hey, you got kind of your manga-esque story. Maybe you'll check out other Western comic-y stuff.
Yeah, it is a little 50-50 and it's a little harder to get some people to spin to the other side. But there are a lot of things that do cross that line and or blur that line, I should say. And you saw like, and DC did it the last couple of years with the Ruby Justice League book.
Yeah.
There's things like that.
They got that the Monkey Prince. Is that?
Yeah.
Which is very, Saiyan-esque.
Right. Then you have like Peach Momoka's Marvel books that are blowing up. So it's definitely got that old school vibe, and then there's like that indie vibe that's always comes around every couple of years and kicks back in. Like one of our local guys, Ed Pisker's Red Room book is very much like that kind of stuff. It's got that 90s black and white like angry pen look to it that I love, like I can't even make fun of it. Like,
like it looks really good, but so it looks good no matter what. But in today's eyes, with the today comic landscape, it looks even better because there's nothing else as big as that out there.
Right. And that's why I love like backing all you indie guys, because it's like diamonds in the rough. Like, we are very glad and proud to help you guys kind of get off the ground, because there's so much good stuff out there that people just don't know about because they don't get off the big two, right? Or even the big three if you count Image. And there's a lot of stuff out there. Like, our stores are very indie friendly. We do a comic, we do a convention, and it's comic focused. Like, it's not celebrities and actors and stuff. Although if they have a Pittsburgh tie, we can discuss that in future. But for the most part, like, it's publishers and vendors and comic artists and writers, and that's what we do, and that's who we want to support. Because without you guys, we don't have a job in the future. So.
Yeah, which I still read Marvel and DC and Image and even Boom, but I mostly do those in trade. The only time I'll buy floppies now is through like the super indie Kickstarters or Indiegogos. Like, just yesterday, I backed Bigfoot Knows Karate. Issue 2 came out on Kickstarter. Jeez. And I like, just the name alone, it's like, that's such a genius title. That's such a good title. And then like seeing the art and looking at the story, I'm like, I'm in. Like, I'm definitely in for this. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I'll say this. There's some stuff on Kickstarter I've read that's been okay. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but I'm like, it was okay. I'd say the majority of the stuff I've backed and have read, I'm like, holy crap. Like, this is really good. This is, like you were saying, like a diamond in the rough. This is like a hidden gem. And I'm so glad I was able to like get in kind of on like the ground floor or whatever.
Yeah. Like our buddy Dennis Robertson, one of the two. He did a book called Lycan. He wrote a book called Lycan. And dude, like, I got it, and I was like he had sent us the PDF, and it didn't do the book justice. Like, I thought it did when I read it, and then I read the physical one, and I'm like, this is way better. Like as a physical book, and I don't even know why. It's literally just having it in my hand makes it so much cooler.
Oh yeah.
And he was just on a couple weeks ago talking about the second volume's coming out. And it's, I think, like a 80 some page thing. Like, just it's like a prestige book. Like, it's not like a full trade, but it's like prestige.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. He's the one that does the hockey jerseys in his Kickstarter.
Oh, okay, I got it.
No, he only made like 8. But I got to see
Smith
one.
Bought 7.
It's very nice. Yeah, right. All right. So now we're going to talk to you about we call this the secret origin section when we have a guest on. So this is where you kind of tell people like how you kind of got into the industry, like who your influences are, like what drives you to do what you do. Just so more like kind of getting to know you type thing. So
yeah. So I didn't realize it, but when I was in high school, I guess I kind of did like writing. I didn't realize it till way after high school, like look back. But I started writing as like a major hobby right after high school, like freshman, sophomore year of college. And I just really enjoyed it. And it started out as horror stuff, like, and then I transitioned to other genres and stuff like that. But I liked it as a hobby. And then one day, it wasn't even a comic convention. It was a thing called Winterfest, which is in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's like a youth, like a youth rally, basically, like a church youth rally with like thousands of people there. And Jim Kruger, the writer, like comic writer Jim Kruger, he did like the Justice series with Alex Ross, and he's done a bunch of other stuff, like a bunch of X-Men books and stuff like that. he was there. He was like a speaker there, and he was like doing like a signing afterwards. And like I had read some of the stuff. Like when I was substitute teaching once, I was substitute teaching at a library, and they had trades in the library. And when you're substitute teaching in a library, not a lot of kids voluntarily go in there. So I had a lot of downtime. I had a lot of time to kill. So I just pull some of those trades, read through them. And some of his stories were in there. There was a Adventures of Superman story that was in one of those trades. So yeah, when I met him at that little meeting area, I asked him all kinds of questions. Like not even like me interested in like, oh, I want to be a comic creator or whatever, but I was just like, what got you into comic making and this and that, and asking all these questions. And it was like 10-15 minute conversation. I was holding up the line. He was willing to talk, and that was awesome. And kind of from that weekend, it kind of started the gears in my head of like, dang, like based on all the stuff he said, I wouldn't mind at least trying this. At the very least, have one comic and it be a bucket list thing. And it started out as that when I was first writing and stuff, but then it completely transitioned to, oh, I can make something more of this. Like I can make series with this, like multiple series in comic making, and then finding the artists. Like with all these artists, this was before I knew that there were Facebook groups for writers and artists to meet. It was before I knew there were artists on Instagram and stuff like that. So I was on DeviantArt.com just scrolling through hours and hours, probably close to 100 hours, if not more, in the span of a week or two, just looking for the perfect artist, because these stories were done. I was like, okay, that person would work well with this story, and then more hours go, that person worked well with this story. That's kind of how it started. So Jim Kruger, I won't say is like, no offense, Jim Kruger, if you happen to be listening, you're not in my top 10 comic writers, but you were a huge influence on me. Even that small interaction that we had there, and as well as like some YouTube videos, because around the time there's a channel called Comic Pop, and they were talking about how to make comics. They were doing a series on how to make comics, and that came out around the time when I was like interested. I was like, oh crap, like this is perfect for me. This helps me. I did more research after that, but those were two big things that kind of pushed me into comic making.
That's awesome. So who are some of your favorite writers and artists then, if you don't mind us asking?
Yeah, that's fine. Writers, in no particular order, Jeff Lemire, Tom King, Scott Snyder's up there. He may have been bumped down recently for me. Scott Snyder's up there. I kind of like to include manga and manhwa in this, and a good manhwa artist and writer is this guy named Carnby Kim. A lot of his stuff is on webtoons. He's done stuff like Sweet Home. This is the series, so I'm not cursing. I'm quoting the series. Bastard is the title of the series. Yeah.
That was just made into a Netflix series, was it not?
Was it really?
I think so, if it's the same one I'm thinking of.
Sweet Home is a Netflix series. It was okay. Because Sweet Home's my favorite of Carnby Kim stuff. So I'm too attached to that story. And when I saw the Netflix thing, I was like, it's good, but I don't know if I could keep watching it. But that's cool if Bastard gets turned into.
Yeah, if it's the one it's about a wizard, evil wizard trapped in a kid's body.
No,
something different.
No. This one is a kid's dad is a serial killer, and the kid has known almost his entire life. And basically, the dad has a type, and a new student moves into the kid's school, and it fits the dad's type. And basically, the kid is trying to now kind of fight against the dad without the dad knowing, because the kid has a bunch of health problems, so the dad could just easily kill him, because the dad doesn't see him as more than a accomplice, because he does get the kid to help him sometimes. It goes from there. A dark story, but a really good one. But so yeah, sorry, Carnby Kim. I'm trying to think. Those are kind of my top ones. Like Carnby Kim, Tom King, and Jeff Lemire, I'd say are top 3 for me. And then with artists, like I'm gonna butcher the name. The guy who did Berserk, the manga, Kintaro Miura. I've probably got the name wrong, but beautiful artwork. And then I forget the guy's name, but the guy who did the manga Vagabond. I will argue, some people will kill me for this, I think Vagabond is better than Berserk. I know manga fans love Berserk. Berserk is like my number 2 manga comic, but I think Vagabond to me is just amazing. It's across comics, manga, anything, it's number 1 or 2 for me. Dustin Nguyen. He worked with Jeff Lemire on Descender. Dustin Nguyen is definitely up there for me. I love Dustin Nguyen's watercolors and stuff like that. Yeah, those are some of my top artists.
That's awesome. I like Dustin Nguyen a lot, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's super good. I've met Jeff Lemire a couple times. Him and his family have been at shows that I happen to be at, and they're always very pleasant people to be in company of. So
that's awesome. Because one day I do want to like meet him at a convention or something, but I don't want to fanboy out and ask him, because I've read a ton of his books. I've read all the indie stuff and like some of the mainstream stuff, but like yeah, there's a lot of questions I want to ask about like the themes and how it's interwoven, because just like Fast and the Furious, Jeff Lemire is all about family. If you read any of his stuff, it's all about family.
Yep. Even his Valiant stuff was about family, like his Bloodshot stuff, his Rye stuff. Like it was all family focused, and it was very well done. Like I think I met him with that stuff too.
I guess he sort of did that with Moon Knight when Lemire was writing Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Which the series was based on Lemire's writing anyways, so
partially, yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we're gonna change gears, and we're gonna talk a little bit about some Disney Plus stuff that has happened in the last week. And then we'll give you one more chance to pitch your stuff. So if you have watched, cool. If you haven't watched, also cool. Actually, you know what? Let's do the pitch one more time, and then that way, if anyone hasn't seen these shows, they can hop off now, because spoilers are coming. This is going to be ridiculous, because it is ridiculous. So give one good pitch, and then hang out and talk to us about our spoiling of things.
So I'm Brandon Ingram. I'm the creator of Dismay Comics, creator of the specific comic that's going to have a Kickstarter soon, Dismay Avenue. Issues 1 and 2 is going to have a Kickstarter. October 18th is when it launches. It's horror anthology. It's, especially with these first 2 issues, very much like psychological and a little bit of cosmic horror there. So if you're into that sort of thing, this is definitely for you. If you're into beautiful artwork, definitely pick these books up. Like each story, I think is beautiful. With both issues, there's, I'll say 6 stories, because Ultimate Triality, even though it's 1 page, that is a story. So there's 6 stories in total with both of these books. Over 100 pages of comics with both of these books. and the tiers just range from $1 to $65. And there's a tier for any and everyone's budget. Every little bit helps. If you're not able to back the book, share it with some people. Kind of help spread the word about this book. If you're not into comics, which you should get into, comics are great. It sounds awful, but it's the main piece of literature I read is comic book form nowadays. But get into comics. But if you're not into comics, you don't want to get into it anytime soon, but you like really cool and very scary t-shirts, there's going to be an exclusive Dismay Avenue t-shirt. It's very spooky. You're going to have a giant vortex on your chest. There's a little boy reaching out, basically like, oh, no, Justin, save me. It's just like, no. You stay on the shirt. You stay. Everyone will see you. We're not going to save you, though. So yeah, October 18th at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time is when the Kickstarter launches. There's stretch goals. I have a low overall goal because I want to get these books made because all the stories are done. Stories are done. Comics are done. I want to get them printed. I want to get them into people's hands so they can read them. But there are stretch goals. And one of the stretch goals, it's the one I want to hit. When we hit 75 backers, basically one lucky backer will get this piece right here. It's an original art piece by Thomas Tikas. He does the cover artwork for The Gallows Man. And one lucky backer will get that piece of, if anyone knows Gallows Man, it's his sidekick Noose Boy, who is chasing a mugger down the street with a giant battle axe. So one lucky backer will get that original piece of artwork.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. All right. Now we are going to move into spoiler mode. So again, mark whatever time we're at so you can come back and pick it up after you've watched either of these shows. But we're going to talk about Werewolf by Night, and then we're going to talk about the finale of She-Hulk. So since Werewolf by Night came out first, let's talk a little bit about that. I was very impressed with how they took the Universal Monsters vibe and totally made it work. I loved all the minutia of the Bloodstone clan. I loved that Man-Thing was in it, and he looked awesome, and he was awesome. I thought Elsa Bloodstone was great. My actual only problem with this entire movie was that Werewolf by Night looked a little too Wolfman. And it was almost like, I really wanted you to just be a little more hairy. Weirdly, but honestly, like it was only like an hour long, and I really enjoyed the hell out of it. Except, like I said, I just wanted him to be a little more hairy. He looked a little patchy in spots, and I think he'll look weird as a werewolf in the main MCU if they don't just fill him out a little more like that. But that's pretty much my perspective. You guys can now talk about your perspectives, and we'll discuss Well,
I was gonna say it was hard to tell, like the sparsity of the werewolf, like because he was in the dark most of the time. You really didn't get a super clear picture of him. My favorite was the little hints of monsters throughout the Marvel universe that you get to see. For those who like hated Thor Love and Thunder, there was a little bit of Gore the God Butcher in the hieroglyphics on the wall there. I loved seeing the multiple monster heads. For those who enjoy the
trophy room.
Yes, the trophy room was excellent. Especially, I got to see one of my personal favorite monsters underrated in it. Like monster never really used unless it's Hulk or Wolverine is the Wendigo, and it looked awesome. I love the white fur, the fangs hanging out. I was a big fan of that. You know, I liked all the hunters too.
So I have a question about the Wendigo thing. So if I remember correctly, the Wendigo is a curse
Yes.
on someone.
Yes.
And when they die, aren't they supposed to revert to human form? And then the Wendigo gets passed to the next person with the curse?
It's a lot like there is an original Wendigo. Like that stays.
So it's like the actual one that never changed form.
Yes.
Okay.
He's patient zero. He's the stuff. Wendigo and the werewolf man are almost the same thing. It's like the only problem is once you're a Wendigo, you don't change through the phases of the moon. You don't become human again. You are Wendigo, period, until someone kills you, then you get back to normal, or someone breaks the curse and you turn back to normal. Werewolf is you're a wolf, full moon, you get the gist of that.
Yeah.
But it's always one of my favorite characters, like under like the horror-esque of Marvel. I love the hunters, the different versions. My wife laughed when she saw the hunter in the white. They're like, did David Bowie come back to life? Because it looks like something out of Ziggy Stardust, which, if you're from the 70s, that was Ziggy Stardust right there, so I was amused by that. I thought Man-Thing was pretty good. I did hear some people complain that Man-Thing was kind of Groot-ish, like it, not like what they did to him was make him more friendly towards family friendly, I should say.
Oh, right. And you and I had this conversation earlier, and I said, I don't really think that that's necessarily true, because like Man-Thing kind of always just kind of was chill in the back, like, and then he would like teleport somewhere, and that was pretty much it. Like he was never like a grr in your face monster.
No,
he was more like a force of nature type thing.
Yeah. Well, I think also the facial expressions of the animatronics there was I think they tried to give him very expression, which you don't see a lot of in the Man-Thing comics. Right. So it was kind of interesting that they did that. Like I said, I love Elsa Bloodstone. Hopefully this is the start of Midnight Suns. This is like that first step of maybe we'll see Ghost Rider whenever they feel like doing Blade, now that they pushed it back another year. So it's I can't wait to see the horror aspect of Marvel, as long as it's done right. Like I think there was a YouTube channel, they were doing all the characters in black and white, and I think that would be cool if they do Midnight Suns series or movie in all black and white, and I think that would work. I think that would be kind of cool.
Agree.
And especially if they're going to do the blood splatter like they did in the movie, they can get away with it, because there was a lot of blood for an MCU property, like especially Disney MCU. It's like, wow, okay, that dude just had his head ripped off. Okay, awesome. So there was a lot of gory things, and you're like, okay, it doesn't count because the blood's black, because all you see is black blood. So, which I know that's a manga thing, or well, it's an anime thing, is they don't want to show blood, so they make like blood different colors, like pink or blue or whatever,
A big manga that it has an anime now is Chainsaw Man, and the cover of the first volume, the blood is green. For the English cover, the blood is green because technically the book, it's made by Shonen Jump, and Shonen Jump goes up to T+. They aren't going to go past T+. That's a T+ book, so they have to do the green blood.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's some bits there. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it though. Like
Yeah.
it very much so rocks that Universal Monsters vibe, which is
Mhm.
very good. It's a good Halloween watch. If you're an MCU fan, it's gonna be hit or miss for you because if you don't know who Werewolf by Night, Ursa Bloodstone, and Man Thing are, you're probably gonna be confused. So
we had this discussion as well,
yeah,
because
yeah.
there have been, I pay
Or
attention
Elsa
to,
Bloodstone, sorry. Elsa
yeah,
Bloodstone.
I pay attention to a lot of Facebook groups, comic books. Half the time, the people that complain about this is stupid, this is dumb, this is quote unquote a dumpster fire, have never read any of the books on the
Yeah.
subject. And then I ask them, well, have you read any of this? Well, I don't like horror comics, or I don't like She-Hulk, or I don't like this character. So I've never read any of it. I was like, well, then your opinion means absolutely nothing because you're just spouting to spout.
Or maybe you should preface every single post with, I've never read the source material. However, this is how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can hate, you can hate, you can hate it if you want. If it's not your cup of tea, I understand that,
Absolutely.
I like Freddy Krueger and the 80s horror and Universal Monsters horror, but I could care less about the ghosts, the current ghost stuff that's put out as horror. I don't get it. It doesn't scare me, other than like the jump scare where it catches you off guard. But I don't get frightened. I don't, comparable to what I used to watch. I'm like, yeah, this is lame. But that's my opinion is I've watched other horror and I'm a fan of horror in general, so I get the gist of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I and this is a great segue because a lot of people who I've talked to who don't like She-Hulk have never read the comics. And I'm like, and so on Twitter today, I literally posted, hold on, I will find it for you real quick.
Oh no, Twitters.
Like I'll read for you verbatim what I actually posted. Okay, so I posted, for those of you that hate She-Hulk, you're going to really hate the finale. But if you are like me and love it, then you will absolutely love it. It is probably the most She-Hulk thing ever. Also, cool Easter eggs for you haters to sit through. Hashtag She-Hulk is pure gold. And then I had guys like Josh Blaylock, love it, like the tweet, and my buddy Brian, who has only read, I believe, like the Charles Soule She-Hulk run and newer. Like he has never read like the Dan Slott or the John Byrne stuff. So this episode, I'm not even kidding. It is literally the most She-Hulk thing ever. So like,
there's a ton of fan service.
So not only does it homage the Incredible Hulk TV show, because it starts out with her dreaming, and she's dreaming herself as the beginning credits to the Incredible Hulk, with including a Lou Ferrigno cameo, which is hilarious. And then it also homages one of the runs. I believe it was a John Byrne run. There's an issue where she climbs through the comic book because she knows that she's a comic book character because she can break the fourth wall. And in this episode, there's a moment where she stops the episode. It brings up like the Disney Plus screen, the menu screen, and she like climbs out of her own thing and like kicks in the behind the scenes option, like for the behind the scenes She-Hulk thing, and she climbs into there, and she walks into like Marvel Studios and is just like, I'm here to see Kevin. Like, and they're like, no one sees Kevin. No one sees Kevin. Or she walks into the writer's room and she's like, what the hell, guys? And they're like, well, that's what Kevin wanted. And she's like, well, I'm going to go talk to Kevin. And they're like, no one talks to Kevin. So she walks to to Kevin's secretary and she's like, I'm here to see Kevin. And he's like, no one sees Kevin. And she's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm going in there. So then it's like this crazy like montage fight scene to get to this studio. And you know that studio where he's standing at like where Kevin Feige stands on D20, where it's like all the Marvel stuff is like playing behind him on a bunch of screens. So it's that, except it's not actually Kevin Feige. It's this computer that hangs from the ceiling that has a bunch of camera lenses, but Feige's hat, and it's just called Kevin. Like it's like the most meta thing ever that happens. Like, so, and he like changes the episode so that it actually fits how like it should have really went. But there's an awesome Hulk Abomination fight in it. There's parts where she makes fun of the fact that the blood stealing was a Captain America.
She said every superhero that has their power stolen by the supervillain. She's like, isn't that like almost every supervillain tries to do that to the hero, you know?
But she very specifically said, isn't that the plot of Captain America, the First Avenger, or something like that? And I was like, oh God. But it was so well done. Like everybody, like everything in that season kind of got tied together in a very good way. And she asked for Daredevil to come back. So there's another, like he randomly comes back, and then they're like, oh, you're like sleeping with him. And she's like, yeah, kind of, yeah. Which, by the way, there have been some excellent memes of Walk of Shame Daredevil that have come out last week that were hilarious. So and
people are still angry about that. They're like, oh my God, want my Daredevil brooding and contemplating suicide, even though he's Catholic. I'm like, just go with it. It's not meant, this was not meant to be a serious show. And if you thought that's what it was going to be, sorry. Yeah. You had your serious show with Moon Knight, okay? And you guys bitched about it. It's too serious. Not enough Moon Knight action. I don't like it. Well, here's She-Hulk. Here's a comedy. I don't want my Hulk to be comedy. I don't want this. I'm like, make up your mind. What do you want? They can only do so much. I mean, come on. Like you said, my favorite part as a Hulk fan in general is I used to watch all the Hulk reruns from the 70s as a kid. I have actually in my collection here almost the entire set. I'm missing 2 cards, by the way, of the TV series, the baseball cards that make one giant Lou Ferrigno Hulk poster kind of thing in the back of it. Awesome. But him in She-Hulk dress was possible. Me and my wife were watching this together, which I think is probably the best part about She-Hulk in general, is it's getting females who weren't into all the other female characters. Yeah. They got into She-Hulk because they relate to it.
If you weren't a Carol Core girl for or Captain Marvel, or you weren't a young girl getting into Miss Marvel, you can get into She-Hulk because it's very fun. Yeah. And I actually thought you would have been more excited about the fact that we get like our first foray into World War Hulk, which is Hulk introducing his son Scar to everyone. And I was like, holy crap, did they really just do that?
I laughed on that one. I'm like, okay. I was like, that's weird. And my wife looked at me, she's like, how's he have a kid? I was like, it's a World War Hulk thing that they're going to have to make a movie now. You can't
Yep.
you can't do that and not give us anything. Like if that is the only Scar we see, I will be seriously upset about that.
Right.
You know, other than the animated stuff that they like poked around with in the 2000s there. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I think they went a little too fourth wall, like breaking the fourth wall a little too much. Like I'm for it, but when it's like, hey buddy, careful, dumbass. Sorry guys, my cat wants
All right.
to show off apparently his lack of climbing apparently.
Your cat heard you talking about you not liking the fourth wall breaking that much, and your cat had something to say about it. Your cat liked that aspect of it.
Oh, probably.
Cat just tried to break the fourth wall. That's great.
While he's licking his asshole now. Yeah, that's great.
Right?
You know.
I mean, that's his fourth wall.
Yeah,
So-
pretty much.
This is
But
my
it-
ass. I call it the fourth wall. I'm gonna break it.
Yeah. Oh, are you? They're shitting on you. Yeah.
Oh.
He's giving
But,
me this
yeah.
look now, but okay.
I can see where you're coming from, but that very specifically going as far as they did was an homage to that very specific issue.
Yeah.
And it, to me, it was, like I said, the most She-Hulk thing that they could have done with this show. It was just so hilariously well done, especially when it wasn't actually Kevin Feige and it was just that robot.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
just
that.
like,
I'm like, oh.
it's like she's talking to Hal, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
I love that. I just love that they made him the little black baseball hat. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the best part of the whole thing.
I liked how she's sitting there interrogating him, and he's like, "Well, okay."
Right,
know,
right.
And then she's like, "Well, when do we get an X-Men?" Well, we can't answer that, And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Oh yeah. And then when she was like, and then he was like, "And you're not going to be in any movies?" And she's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh." Oh man.
But they
I'm gonna
said
see if
they're
I can
doing a
find a
second
picture.
season too. So
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of the the
robot.
Kevin robot.
It kind of looks like if you remember another Disney show or a Disney movie, The Flight of the Navigator, the stupid robot that comes down and then he ends up downloading Pee Wee Herman's personality.
Right.
That's what it reminded me of, only like with a hat on it.
All
Hell,
right,
that probably was it. They probably just put like a different facial thing on it. And like, oh, we haven't used this since '89. Let's give it a
All right.
shot.
See it? It's totally got that baseball hat on there, and it just says Kevin on top. Like, like hilarious. Yeah. So it was just so hilarious to see that that whole scene take place. I just thought it was very funny. But also like the show itself, like it for me, that show has just been great. I've loved every minute of it. I know a lot of people have issues with it, and I would first checked IMDb to see how it went, or to see if I can find that Kevin picture, and they didn't have one on there. But it has a 5 out of 10 on IMDb, which is really funny. Well, I'm gonna check Rotten Tomatoes because I'm just curious.
Oh, I'm sure it's probably they probably
Yeah, the audience
crapped on
score
it.
is going to be like 40 probably.
Yeah. Well, I kept hearing.
Ooh, so the average tomato meter is 87, and the average audience score is 35. Let's
Pretty
do
much what I thought it'd be.
we don't normally do this, but I'm going to try to find some. Where the hell are the fucking comments on this thing?
Oh, I'm sure there's a
See
few.
score detail.
I can look on my Facebook here and read you some of the comments some of the chauvinistic pigs have put on here. It's great. There's some interesting ones.
How do I
It's
get
almost as bad as Steelers Twitter and Facebook groups that I'm in now, especially this season with the Steelers not doing so hot.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, we also got a Wongers at the end, which was good.
Yeah.
Return of the Wongers. I can't find how to get the reviews on there. So let me go to IMDb. I just want to share some of these and how fucking terrible they are. And then like we're just gonna talk about like 2 or 3 of them and then we'll get out of here because we're running a little long. But hope you don't mind.
Longer than usual. To be fair, we average about an hour to an hour and a half. So
yeah,
we're right where we usually are.
Right. All right. Let's see. Storyline. User reviews. Holy shit! There is 1.3 thousand. All right.
Should be easy to find some ones then.
here's the very first one. This She-Hulk is not sensational. 1 out of 5 stars. I have all the She-Hulk comic runs from Savage She-Hulk 1 to present day, currently sold in your comic shops at the time of the Disney Plus show release. She's one of my favorite Marvel women and ought to be treated with high respect while having a lot of fun. But the MCU failed to capture the charm, fun, and heart of the lovely green lawyer from the comics. This show suffers from the same problems MCU Phase 4 has. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It has rejected the former audience and made it an epic success for an entirely imagined one instead, and doesn't know where it's going. Specifically in She-Hulk Attorney at Law's case, does not flesh out the characters well enough to make the audience care. Who are the supporting cast members? Why are they so one-dimensional? Why should I care? Where are all the actual jokes? The parts where Jen is actually trying to be a lawyer and superheroes or talking in court scene are the funniest, but in too many other areas it tries too hard to be funny. Some people will watch this show and never laugh even where it was trying to tell a joke, which is rough because it's supposed to be a comedy. That guy just goes on and on and on. Let's try to find another 1-star terrible review because it's just hilarious. I don't want to look at any of these ones to say spoilers. Hilarious.
I'm surprised you haven't found one with the heading being "Why Hulk She." Surprised there hasn't.
I'm probably gonna have to dig down because that literally is one of them that I remember seeing. There's a lot of 8, 9, 10 stars, a lot of 5s. 8s. Oh, come on, where are the bad ones?
I think you have to go on Facebook for that, man.
No,
they don't put it on official stuff. They want it on the easy low hanging fruit where you go on Twitter and Facebook, the dark areas of the web.
Right.
Also, how many of the reviews? I feel like there's probably an equal number of "Why Hulk She." There's equal number of that, as well as like the kind of creepy fetish reviews, possibly.
Right.
That's
what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find like the creepy, like I'm waiting for it to be like, I can't believe she's such a slut or something like that because she sleeps with everybody.
Not even that. I'm expecting to see something like, "Why won't she step on me?" Like stuff like that. That's what I'm expecting to see. The headline of the review.
Where's her Tinder profile? Because I want to sign up. You know.
Oh my god.
Like
the headline. The headline of the review should be "Green Mommy Step on Me." That's the headline of the review.
This one's called. This review is a 1-star review. It's called Shrek 5: The Final Marvel Frontier.
Oh,
Ouch, my enormously low expectations were much too high. This was a giant piece of green slimy poop. Oh my god. She-Hulk has less charisma than a sea sponge. With sincere apologies
wow.
to sea sponges. Also, while the jokes were present, the humor or enjoyment was sorely missed. Worst of all, these have to be the worst graphics in the MCU project since the original Thor. Thor stayed as #1 worst MCU movie for many years until Captain Marvel truly stole that spot, and mostly due to the terrible CGI. It didn't bother me as much as I thought it would with the Smart Hulk character. True, I hate this version of the Hulk. I much prefer the TV version, or just all rage and conflict between Hulk and Banner. But since Hulk looked so incredibly fake, it was easy to not see him as the real Hulk I love. And also, She-Hulk looked and sounded incredibly silly, like a cartoon herself. And her one-liner introduction to the courtroom almost made me throw up. I truly feel embarrassed for the MCU and Disney. This is the worst product to date. And yes, even smashed Captain Marvel. Never thought I'd say that. Final thoughts: if they weren't cousins, it would be enormously hard to distinguish these leads from Shrek and Fiona. Sure, it's easy to compare 4 green characters, but the only real difference, She-Hulk and Hulk were cartoons on a live action set, much like Roger Rabbit or Space Jam. I cannot believe they expected us to see them in anything but the Shrek lovebirds. Oh my god.
Wow. He really laid into it. Now, was he Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel that he hated?
Captain Marvel.
Okay.
So
I could
so my guess is that's another one of the people who is very insecure about their masculinity and can't understand that there could be a nice female lead that's strong. Because Captain Marvel was a good movie. I don't care what you say.
I don't think it was like average for me. It wasn't good. It wasn't outstanding, but it wasn't bad either. It was like middle for me. I still think Thor 2 is possibly the worst movie ever made by
Thor
Marvel.
2, definitely the worst Marvel movie ever made.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie was just boring. Like it didn't have anything to do with anything except like, oh, we're gonna talk about an Infinity Stone the whole time, and it's not even gonna be about Thor, it's gonna be about Jane Foster. And we're not even gonna do a good story around it. Come on. Oh, here we go. This one just says it's 2 stars, just bad. The She-Hulk show is about a woman in her dating life. Oh, and she's also a Hulk, and also a really unprofessional lawyer, and going through the worst parts of living in America. Or she seems to be checking all the boxes. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Someone wishes they were a lawyer. Oh.
Like a lot of this is talking about like the CGI being bad. I'll admit, like the CGI is not the best it's been, but it's also not the worst it's been. Let's be fair.
Like I said before, like when we started talking about this was much better than the previews that they showed. Like they adjusted, they went back and they adjusted it. So maybe it was worse, and then they adjusted it to where it was acceptable, because it could have been bad before. And they're like, okay, we're gonna fix some pixels and we're gonna adjust some stuff here and there, and it's probably the best they could get it within a time frame. Because again, I think they rushed too much. They did too much rushing.
This one's a 2-star review, and it basically talks about how it has too much social politically injected writing.
Oh god.
And how the character should be likable and have some interesting and relatable attributes to the viewer. The protagonist is an opening scene told how wonderful she is, and repeatedly, as do the writers, didn't want the viewers to come to their own conclusion. The character's actions and dialogue do not win her fans or make her likable or relatable. She's marketed to the viewers as a strong, capable female in a high-powered law firm employment who can quickly put men in their place, but later contradicts this by complaining about various social political Twitter talking points without anything ever shown to the viewer. It all comes across as writing projecting their own problems through a character with no substance or likability and no creative writing or love. I think they're wrong. Whenever I see awful woke shows, I think
right there.
I think about the huge dichotomy between them and the X-Files. Maybe one day writers will learn how to write. Can't recommend this show. So
wait a minute.
So
you have to
hold
go
on.
all the way back
So
to
wait.
1997.
Wait. So are they calling the X-Files not woke? Is that what they're saying?
I think that's what they were going with.
Even though like Vince Gillen, who did Breaking Bad, who made a extremely woke show with that, like, isn't a woke writer? Like, what the fuck? Like,
well, remember we talked about this in previous episodes, John. That is when that is used woke, that means that person is not, they're stuck in whatever little small-minded view that they have of the world. So again, that sounds like an insecure male, probably white, that doesn't understand what's going on with this series. So
there's another one that basically talks about how the whole show, like, this dude just stayed on to watch Daredevil come in it, and he hated the rest of it, and then Daredevil was bad, and I'm just like, wow, like, wow, like, and then the rest of it, most of it's about the CGI. The fights aren't good. Oh man, like, jeez, yeah, a lot of these is like, a lot of these are like, stop making it a comedy, and I'm like, She-Hulk was kind of a comedy the whole time. I don't know what
was
you're like,
I think,
like, obviously these
that.
people never ever read a She-Hulk comic.
Well,
ever.
And also they announced this as a comedy when they said She-Hulk is coming. They're like, oh, this is a comedy. Apparently these people didn't pay attention during the announcements of the show, like they do for every other time that they do a big reveal on something. They tell you, well, this is what this is going to be. I think they even said, like, when they revealed it, this is going to be a comedy based on She-Hulk comic books. I don't know how much clearer Kevin Feige could have been on that.
Yeah.
Does he have to hold the sign going,
wait.
This is going to be
all right. This is the last one I'm going to read, because this was hilarious. All right. 1-star review, called it B series. Watched the first 3 episodes and skipped through 4 and 5. Endless cliches, infantile writing, and plot holes. Quote, we got to crash this car to make this plot happen, so here's a spaceship. End quote. New quote, oh, we didn't have funding to watch this sub-universe's world destroy Monster Man, so we let him go. We know nothing about how the law works, but wait, there's more. In-show fan bashing. This may be watched in the future to laugh at how bad it is. A la cult classic. Basically, it's The Room from 2003, Trolls 2, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, but in a streaming form. Disney could just start hiring all B-list actors and at least save money from the endless churn of Marvel Cluff coming out. If only there was a pre-existing script somewhere that has a fan base and proven plot. Oh, wait. Wow.
Wow. Damn.
Wow. Like, a lot of these, like I said, like, a lot of these, as I'm reading through them, I'm like, you didn't read the comic. You're just a super toxic masculine guy. You probably are still single, 60, and living in your mom's basement. Like it's just so
Well,
bad.
also, I want to ask, not even did he read the comic? Did he watch The Room? Did he watch Troll 2? Like, have you seen these movies? Like,
right? Are they too woke for you? I'm sorry. Like, really?
like I am gonna watch She-Hulk eventually. I'm waiting. I like to
Right.
jump from streaming service to streaming service. I'm cheap. I like to stay on a budget. But I'm gonna watch it like by the end of the month, as well as Werewolf by Night. But I mean, like, I I haven't even seen it, but I already know there's no way you can compare it to The Room or Troll 2 or any of those. I've seen those. And I haven't seen She-Hulk, and I'm like, I already know there's no way you can compare the two. I haven't even seen She-Hulk, and I know you can't compare the two.
Right. But let's also think of the fact that like Blade was a cult classic, right? Fuck, like the Fantastic Four movies are cult classic movies. The Incredible Hulk and Hulk movie are both kind of cult classic-y at this point. Like
I
what?
don't know if I'd go there. I
But like
think
also like, but also okay. The Universal Monsters movies were cult classic movies for a long time until they really kind of came into the forefront when horror really became more accepted in like the last 15 to 20 years. And then they became classics, not just cult classics. Let's think of it that way.
okay.
Right? Like, okay. Dolph Lundgren's Punisher, cult classic. Daredevil, the movie, cult classic.
Those, I think those are better examples of cult classic.
Right?
Because nowadays, because cult classic usually has like, when I think of the sense of cult classic, like maybe the majority. A majority can just be 51%, but it's still majority. Majority doesn't like it or doesn't get it or whatever it may be. It could be either
or the Swamp Thing movies or the Toxic Avenger movies. Cult classic. But everything we've gotten in the last 5 years has been much better than those. So like how like you said, how do you compare Trolls 2? How do you call that a cult classic movie? Like do people really hate that movie that much? I don't think so. I think there's a bunch of kids that freaking love that movie. So
I was gonna say,
well, I say it's a
so.
weird comparison because like The Room, Troll 2, like all of these like are made by extremely incompetent people, but they're very entertain. They're good bad movies. Like it's so bad it's good. I haven't seen She-Hulk, but I already know you couldn't list it as like it's so bad it's good. Like I know it'll at least be decent when I see it, like based on just trailers I've seen.
yeah,
You can watch clips or scenes or trailers from Room or Troll 2 and know like, oh, this is gonna be a good bad movie. Like this is gonna be a bad movie. But I wouldn't say you could say that with She-Hulk. Like
that's like people saying that
different
Leprechaun is the best movie ever created, right? Let's be fair.
Hey, you leave Leprechaun out of this shit, man.
Hey man, once Pip the Troll really starts doing shit, I can't wait for those like the Pip the Troll versus the Leprechaun talk. I can't wait for it. Can't wait for that.
I will put my money on Leprechaun every time. That entire series, with the exception of Leprechaun in Space, was great.
You're right.
Leprechaun in Space was garbage.
Leprechaun in the Hood though was bomb.
So, oh yeah. Leprechaun in Vegas. Leprechaun 3 in Vegas. Great.
Oh yeah.
Love that.
All right. So thanks everybody for watching this week. Hope you were entertained. Brandon, thank you again for coming on and hanging out with us. It was
Thank
a
you.
great time having you. We can't wait for the Kickstarter to kick out and get some more books into the stores and into our hands. And as you have more stuff releasing, let us know. We'll have you back on. You're always welcome to come and hang out. We wish you the best of luck with the Kickstarter, and hopefully it funds very quickly. So
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Cool. All right, everybody. We will catch you next week, and then remember we're going to have a bye week at the end of the month due to Baltimore Comic-Con, because Justin will be traveling to it. I will already be there, and Thursday night I'll be having dinner with Howard Chaykin. So I can't do this, and sorry, that's something that I can't balance in my life, and hotel Wi-Fi sucks. So
I think we should make Tim Cope do it all by himself.
Just by himself.
Yeah. He can
right.
he can drag Hibbert to do it, and him and Hibbert can back and forth.
They can talk about how much they hate She-Hulk. It'll be great.
It's the total polar opposite.
Right. So.